Welcome to Law You Should Know. The law affects every aspect of our lives, our home, our jobs, and our recreational activities. Now you can learn about the law and how to protect yourself against the loss of your liberty or property. Learn how to stand up for your rights and seek compensation when you have been wronged. Your host for Law You Should Know is attorney Kenneth J. Landau with the Mineola Law Firm of Shane, Dox, Denisi, and Corker. He's a member of the Committee on Professional Ethics of the Bar Association of Nassau County and counsel to the Nassau Academy of Law. And now, here is your host for Law You Should Know, attorney Kenneth J. Landau.
Hi, this is Ken Landau, and welcome to Law You Should Know. Today we'll be talking about how challenges can be your greatest gifts in the context of law and litigation and some of the personal challenges that clients or attorneys have. And our guest is Dr. Dee Carroll, and she's a management consultant and has written a book about covering some aspects of this, and she'll guide us through the process of how to stop fear from stopping you, and when sometimes forgiveness is the key toward resolving and moving away from your problems or moving beyond your problems. Dee, welcome to Law You Should Know.
Thank you for having me.
First, why don't you start us off by telling us about your book and what led you to write your book and what's covered in your book?
Okay. The book title is Emotional Emancipation, Step into Your Freedom, Reinvent Your Challenges, and Move Beyond. What prompted me to write the book, I had a multi-million-dollar business for 28 years and had a CFO who was running two sets of books. And when I knew what was going on, I was at a point of no return. I lost everything. And when I say everything, Ken, everything. My business, my investments, 401k, apartment building, you name it. I went through a crazy, devastating period of having my attorneys come in. And by the way, the listeners' audience must know that you got to have a great legal representation at all times in your life, no matter what's going on. But when my attorneys got involved, we desperately tried to save the business by filing Chapter 11 for reorganization. And that didn't work because my number one creditor had the bulk of the say, and so ultimately we went through, I guess, for a few years trying to work it out, and then had to go to Chapter 7. But I must say, without a strong legal team, I couldn't be sitting here today to share, what has taken place.
So it sounds like you've been through a lot, and I hope that your book will help others. And I just want to add to that list, it's also important to have, an accountant.
Yes.
Help you organize your business properly and give you advice in starting and building your business. And also very important to have appropriate insurance so that if there are some problems or you get sued, the insurance may help to defend you and pay your legal costs. So
you're absolutely right.
Someone has a legal problem. They're individually involving their family, or let's say a business owner. Why can challenges be their greatest gifts?
A challenge can be your greatest gift because it propels you to growth. It sends you on a new trajectory, and it supports your mindset. It supports a new perception. It's often been said that there's no growth without adversity. I concur, Ken, because when you're in the thick of trials, tribulations, and adversities, you have nowhere to go but up. So a certain amount of growth takes place, and it supports the individual because you have a whole new outlook. You are going in a different direction. So
you're going to learn from your mistakes, and also it sounds like a form of tough love. Yes.
Some of both.
And And how can you move beyond that point? Once you hit bottom or you have some legal problem, something like you mentioned, you cannot overcome or ignore, how can you move beyond it?
The first thing you want to do is reinvent yourself. And this reinvention is, first of all, changing your perception and change your mindset. This reinvention is creating a vision if you don't already have one, revamping your goals and looking at new ones. I have what is called a prescription to break free from your woes. And the first thing is forgive yourself and others. Oftentimes when we're in the thick of things, we don't want to take even a minute role in what took place. So I had some responsibility, although this guy made the decision to do what he did. I had some responsibility because my gut was talking to me, but I ignored it. So the first thing is forgive yourself and others. The next would be rejuvenate, replenish, and reward yourself. You got to take time for you. And those 3 R's are needed things in order to reposition your mind. Embrace the possibilities. You want to grow and move to the next level. So you've got to embrace that adversity. Embrace it. Hold on to it. Dissect it. Pull it apart and put it back together because you're going places. Express gratitude. And this acronym is on my website. It's called Freedom. So the second E would be express gratitude while being enlightened. You want to be thankful for this period of growth. D would be don't quit, stay in the game. I want to tell you this quick analogy, Ken, if I may.
Sure.
And that is, I came home late one night working, and I was so exhausted, couldn't go to sleep. So I turned on the tube. I was flipping channels, couldn't find anything. All of a sudden, I happened upon boxing, and not necessarily a fan of boxing, but I thought, okay, let me just see what's going on here. One guy was beating his opponent down to a pulp. Eyes swollen, blood running down the cheeks, the bell ring. They ran into the corner, the bell rang again, out they came. And the guy that was getting the beat down came out swinging with all of his might, landing some punches and missing others. But all of a sudden, he mustered up enough strength to knock the guy out who was beating him down. Now, what do I say about this? Don't quit. Stay in the game. Your chance of winning is based on your commitment to stay the course. So quitting can never be an option. O would be own the fear. Take ownership of fear as opposed to allowing fear to own you. And the M would be move beyond any agony into achievement because your time is right now.
And you certainly don't want to be frozen by that fear because it's going to prevent any positive action.
Absolutely, absolutely. We feel anxiety in our lives because they don't look the way we want them to look. And we're paralyzed by fear, which keeps us from making the change we so desire. And I understand people and pain and what they're going through because of what I went through. However, you still have to be on a mission, and that mission is to move beyond. And now my mission is to inspire and uplift people to help them reclaim their conviction, their courage, and confidence.
And everyone has the capacity to learn and to grow and to have a second act or maybe many more acts.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
And I think you mentioned earlier, and one of the points you make is be the winner and not the quitter, because certainly if you were the quitter, you're not going to be the winner.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Quit unless you have another path, unless you're going to quit your path that was leading you nowhere and just find a different path and try to be the winner on that path.
Yes.
And what about your concept about letting challenge fuel and inspire you?
Well, when you are faced with a challenge, and sometimes challenges can be overwhelming and devastating. So you have all of this negative energy built up inside of you. But if you take that and turn it into a positive, now all of a sudden you can allow that energy to propel you to new heights. And that's really what it's about. You cannot allow it to take control and take you further down. You've got to take a stance and turn it into positive actions.
On one of your points about adversity, I sometimes find that as an attorney involved in litigation, sometimes it gets my adrenaline flowing, and then I become like Rocky and trying to zealously advocate for someone. But before that adversity kicks in, I'm just kind of laid back about it. So sometimes it brings out the best in me.
Yes, and it can for everybody, because it's channeling. You're channeling that energy to a positive light, as opposed to allowing it to control you and take over and keep you in a space of, debilitation and no way out and hiding in the closet, getting under the bed, all those crazy things. But no, you have to come out and you have to embrace it.
Okay, we're going to take a short break now. When we continue, we'll continue our discussion with Dr. Dee Carroll about how challenges can be greatest gifts and how this applies to lawyers and others and clients and those with legal problems or other problems. You're listening to Law You Should Know here on 90.3 WHPC and also over the internet at nccradio.org. We'll be back in a moment.
This portion of programming on WHPC is brought to you on behalf of the Nassau County Bar Association, who wants you to know about ADR, Alternate Dispute Resolution, which can help you avoid costly, lengthy, and uncertain litigation in court. By resolving disputes through mediation or arbitration, it gives you control over who decides your case. A mediator helps all parties to reach an agreement they can live with, or an arbitrator selected by the parties hears and decides the case. Your attorney can still represent you, but you control who decides your case. ADR is faster and less stressful than fighting in court, and it is a great way to resolve divorce, employment, or commercial disputes. ADR is now offered through the Nassau County Bar Association. Find out more about how ADR can help resolve your dispute by calling 516-747-4070 or visit nassaubar.org.
Once again, we continue with Law You Should Know. From the Mineola Law Firm of Shane, Dox, Denise, Corker, and Sauer, here is attorney Kenneth J. Landau.
Hi, this is Ken Landau, and welcome back to Law You Should Know. For this episode, we're talking about how challenges can be your greatest gifts, and these include many problems and potential problems people have in the legal world, and many that lawyers or their support staff or their clients may have in dealing with legal issues. And I guess is Dr. Dee Carroll, who's the author of a book on this subject. And Dee, one of the things we touched on before is how to stop fear from stopping you. Why is that so important, and how can someone do that? A lawyer is afraid of something, is just afraid of going to the courtroom, of meeting with a client. A client's afraid to go see a lawyer. They're afraid about the worst possible outcome. How can we all put that on the back burner and focus on moving on and resolving the problem?
The one thing that you want to do, and that is to look at overcoming debilitating self-doubt. And you want to focus on building a positive life by embracing that fear, which is the very thing that has been an obstacle to your happiness. So, for instance, when you're going in court, if you walk in there afraid and holding on to all that emotion, then how can you be the best representative for your client? You really can't do that, because the client, I can assure you, is nervous. and uncomfortable. So owning the fear, taking ownership of the fear. And what is that? That's simply taking a stand to fear no more. It is what it is. We're facing what we're facing right now. Let's move beyond this.
So, in a sense, you have to accept it and just realize it's going to be there and just try to put it on the sideline?
Yes, put it on the sideline, but instead of allowing fear to control you, you control the fear. And that may be different for different people. Some people may say, hey, I'm going to put it on the sideline. Others may say, I'm going to wear it just on my shoulder. I'm not going to internalize it. Other people may look at it as, hey, I have a grip on this fear, and I will throw it in any direction I choose to instead of allowing it to throw me.
Do you throw it back at the other side to tell them what they should be afraid of?
You can. I mean, I have learned, Ken, to take it in stride, and I also laugh about it now instead of the days when it had me. It had such a grip on me. I finally came to realization as to why people commit suicide. Because you're so low, you feel like you have nothing to live for. And that's a very bad feeling. So you want to make sure you control this thing.
Now, it's important for lawyers to recognize that their clients, their witnesses are going to have a certain amount of fear, that being in a legal proceeding, being part of a trial is going to be a stressful proceeding. So how can the lawyer help their client to feel, less fear? Can they kind of tell the client to give me your fear? I'll protect you from your fear, or I'll, let me be the one who's afraid for you?
Well, I would want my attorney to tell me, Dee, change your perception of what's actually happening, and you will change your mindset. If we use an analogy by walking outside and you look at the sky, do you see sunny and blue, or do you see dark, bleak, and dreary? Quite frankly, it doesn't matter what's really happening in the sky. It's your perception of what's happening. So you can encourage your clients when they're walking into the courtroom or when they are facing arbitration or what have you. Change your perception. We're going to perceive the outcome that we want as opposed to looking at the negative side of it.
So you should focus on the sunny outcome.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And should you desensitize them a little bit and just, help them to just relax a little bit and clear the stress and talk about the good possibilities?
That would be wonderful. That would be so positive and such a great asset, to provide to your client. Because having been on the other side, Ken, in that position, I was a nervous wreck. And I just, if my attorney could have just said, hey, change your perception. We're going to look at a positive outcome. This is where we're going. We're not going to look at all the things that are stacked against you. Instead, we're going to see the positive of this. So I think that's a great idea for an attorney. Could you just use the idea of a baseball player that, that next pitch, that's going to be a home run? Just presume it's going to be a home run until there's a reason to believe otherwise? Yes, absolutely.
That rather than, fearing the pitch, just preparing and focusing on where you're going to hit it to.
Yes. And you say until you see otherwise, even when you see it, even though it actually happened you got different results, guess what? You still want to, it's really not so much about real, it's imagine, and it's perception. So even at the end, you want to make sure that your client is leaving with a perception that gives him the courage, gives him the confidence
and also
move beyond.
So when you're meeting your client, it's important to instill that faith in you, that instill that they have faith in you to lead them down this path and to get them through it and to guide them. They're not going to be alone.
Yes. And that's a big key, because we all feel like we're all alone.
And that's another reason why people should seek help, seek resources, go to an attorney, go to someone, let's say a social worker, go to a government agency that will give them some support and guidance rather than just drowning in their fear.
Exactly. That's right.
And let's bring it to the law office. If you see a colleague, or you see maybe it's a superior, or maybe it's a support staff, drowning in work, or also seem to be worried about something, are there ways you can reach out to them to kind of take the air out of that, so they will be a better member of the team and more productive for your office?
Yes, the team approach is so important because people feel they're all alone. And right now, as we look around our country and all the pain and anxiety that we are dealing with just because of things that are happening, people are plagued with negative emotions, and you want to use that to your advantage. And see it as a catalyst for success. But when you think about some of the things we're dealing with, war, the threat of war, natural disasters, climate concerns, immigration, racism, and diversity concerns, personal and professional woes, these things have resulted in major trials, tribulation, and adversities. And it's plaguing and causing people to give up because they don't see a way out. So when you come back into that office environment and some people are feeling overwhelmed, you want to quietly tap them on the shoulder and hey, embrace what's happening right now. Accept reality. Let's take responsibility and embark on resolution. And that resolution could be any number of things. It could be, if we're back in the office, teamwork, get some help. If you are looking for legal support, getting direction, getting a referral.
Or give some help to people in your office who might need a little extra help. Let them take some of the responsibilities off the plate, find their strengths.
Yes.
And it's not good to have a toxic office because clients will sense that. And you also don't want to have a toxic relationship with your clients.
That is the worst thing you can do, because we have to remember the clients are the reason we're here, and they are making our salaries, running our offices indirectly with their payments. So we have to be cognizant of not giving the clients that insecurity when they come in and the feeling that everything is broken around here.
Or if they're giving you the feeling of insecurity, that's not a good feeling for you or for them, and that may mean they should find a different attorney who's more in tune with them.
Yes.
Just as you might change doctors if you didn't feel the right rapport.
That's right. I've done that a few times.
Okay, and let's talk about forgiveness. At the end of this journey, when your legal matter is over, when that crisis has been resolved in the office or in your life, why is forgiveness important?
Forgiveness is key, because in order to truly move forward or move away from whatever is plaguing you, you've got to forgive yourself first and then forgive whoever else is involved. People don't always want to accept responsibility, but you must. And forgiveness truly is your starting point.
And it's like baggage you're carrying around. If you're carrying around that anger, it's like extra weight you're carrying around, and it's hurting you from moving on. It's like holding you back.
That's right. It will certainly hold you back. It will keep you from moving beyond whatever situation you're facing.
And let's go back. We just have about 2 minutes left in the show. Just tell us about your book and your website and how it provides more information about these points.
Okay. The book, again, is called Emotional Emancipation, Step into Your Freedom, Reinvent Your Challenges, and Move Beyond. My website is www.DrDeeCarroll.com. That's www.drdeecarroll.com. And I want to share one quick thing. People have to know that their life is like a book. It's a story. The first chapter of your book is your birth. The last chapter is your death. And all the chapters in between represent your life. So please write your story. Don't allow your story to be written for you.
And if you're having a bad chapter, just end it and go on to the next chapter.
Please.
You're not stuck in that bad chapter.
Yes, and you don't have to be, because you are in control. A professor once said to me when I was doing my undergraduate studies, he said, Dee, 25% of your life you will be happy. Another 25% you'll be unhappy. The other 50%, or the other remaining, is really your choice. So you've got to make it work for you. Don't allow it to be someone else's decision. Identify and commit to your vision, your goals.
So thank you, Dr. Dee Carroll, for helping us to increase our percentage of happiness.
You're welcome.
And you've been listening to Law You Should Know. If you missed any part of this broadcast, it's available as a free podcast at nccradio.org. And you can hear us next week at nccradio.org or at 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. And this is your host, Ken Landau, inviting you to join us next week at the same time for another program on Law You Should Know.